What's going on, everyone? My name is Alexandru, and today we're gonna talk about anamorphic lenses and why I love them. So to begin with, I've always been fascinated about anamorphic lenses and how they work, but mostly because I always search to make something different in my line of work or in my projects. If you think about anamorphic, or if you don't know what anamorphic is basically a lens that makes your image in a way that gets closer to what we call filmic look. So basically, anamorphic comes in a lot of squeeze factors. So for example, we have 133 anamorphic crop, and then we have 1.8, 1.5, 2.x. So basically 2.0 is the most squeezed factor of anamorphic lenses that we can find, and 133 is like the least squeezed anamorphic factor that we can find. If you're curious what an anamorphic lens does, it basically squeezes your image on the sensor, and when you unsqueeze it, the image looks normal. But you have to have cameras that support anamorphic shooting, otherwise you will have only a tiny strip on the frame, which will look very extremely cropped, which is not fun, and it will be really hard to zoom in back, and you will lose quality and all that. Okay, I'm gonna stop right here for a minute. So basically, guys, there's more to anamorphic than you know. So when you have a 50mm lens, that lens, if it's a 2.x squeeze, it actually turns into a 25mm lens. So basically, what's cool about this is that you get the same characteristics and bokeh of a 50mm lens on a 25mm lens. So this is like pretty crazy if you think about it. So basically, you get more shallow depth of field, you get much better bokeh on a very wide lens. So why this happens, it's because of the squeeze factor of the lens. So if the lens is 2.x, it will automatically become 2 times wider than what it is. And if it's at 1.8, it will get 1.8 wider than what it is. So this is the thing with anamorphic. If it's 1.3x squeeze, it will basically be not as wide as a 20x squeeze lens. So that's why you see much of a difference on a lens that it's 2.x. If we think about anamorphic and why it's something that we want so much, it's because it's something that we don't have the option to take as often as a normal lens, for example. It's very expensive, you cannot find it, or if you have the money, you have to wait almost 1 year to buy a lens set. So it's something that it's not so accessible, and that's why we want it. First things that I learned about anamorphic was that I learned how to fake it. So when we think about like faking it, it was like super hard to make the authentic anamorphic look, but with a few glitches to your lens, it was possible. So first, what I did is I bought this, which is a thing that you put on the back of your Sigma 18-35, and it gives you anamorphic bokeh and a strip, because it has like a small thin line here, and it diffracts the light in a way that it makes a strip over the image. So this was one of my first attempts to get anamorphic look. Obviously, I had to do a lot of things in post to make it look anamorphic, but I think it turned out pretty legit, and a lot of people thought it was shot in anamorphic. For example, those 2 projects that I did for Electric Castle, they were shot like this, and we got a lot of comments saying that, oh cool, you guys shot in anamorphic, which is pretty crazy. So this is my first anamorphic hack that I did. And soon after, I filmed a festival with the Sony Venice, which was amazing, and I got my hands on the SLR Magic 1.3x squeeze, which were really interesting to shoot with, but the image was like really soft, and you had to like stop down to like an f4 or f5.6, which was not ideal because it's a festival, so you need a lot of light on the sensor in order to get those beautiful nice shots. So it was like a pretty hard experience to shoot with that lens, and as you can see from the footage, it looks nice, but the 1.3x squeeze doesn't make that much of a difference. So I started searching for different brands, different lenses. Everything was really expensive, until I found one lens that made me like really curious about it. So that lens was the Vazen Anamorphic, which I have right here. So if you look at it, like, it's a huge lens. It's like really heavy. I think it has 1.5 kilograms, and it's like super massive, and it looks super professional. And if we look at the front element, it's like super crazy. It's 95 diameter, which is like a lot if you think about it. But the good thing about this lens is, like, all the reviews that I looked at, they were saying really good stuff about it. So I said, I have to get this lens. So I get it, I ordered it, and it was here in like 5 days, which is pretty crazy if you think about, like, because if you want to order anamorphic lenses from other brands, it takes around 1 month, 2 months to 1 year. So with this lens, I got it like in 5 days after ordering it, and I was like shocked. This is crazy. The thing with this lens is that it's only for 4x3 cameras that have the 4x3 mount. So it's not ideal. I cannot put it on all the cameras that I want, but I said I need to give this lens a try, because like all the reviews on the internet were like super positive about it. So yeah, I got it. And first thing that I was like really excited, and I was really thinking about it, is that I really have to put this on my Pocket 4K, since it's a 4x3 camera and it's gonna look amazing. So I took this and I put it on my 4x3 camera, and I wasn't like happy with what I saw, because I thought it's gonna look really like sharp, and it's gonna give me that anamorphic effect that I really love. And I was a little bit like sad, and I was thinking, whoa, this is not what I wanted. But then I said, okay, maybe it's the camera and it's not the lens. So I take this lens and I put it on my GH5, and I instantly get shocked. GH5 has a function that you can shoot 6K anamorphic, and I put it and I stopped down the lens at T2, which is the maximum t-stop, and it was like super sharp at T2, which is crazy for an anamorphic lens. Most anamorphic lenses on the market are sharp at T4 or f4. I did a little bit of research on why this lens doesn't look so good on my Pocket 4K. So I realized that the Pocket 4K has to crop on the sensor in order to get a 4x3 scale in order to squeeze the image. So basically, I wasn't getting the whole package with the Pocket 4K and this lens. It's not a really nice relationship between them. Of course, you can use it if you like the more softer look, but I'm the kind of guy who likes resolution, so I had to try and find solutions for this lens. What I did, like, I tried to search on the web for 4x3 cameras, because I didn't like the GH5 because of its codec. So if I wanted to shoot 4K 60 FPS, I had to like shoot at 8-bit, and I kind of got tired about getting back in time and shooting back with the GH5, because I had the experience of shooting with the Pocket 4K, who obviously has RAW, and it was so much easier to grade. I was getting the results that I wanted much easier, so I didn't really want to get back in time and shoot with the GH5. So I did some researches, and I went over the Z-Cam, which at first I had like low expectations about it. So I managed to get one camera and test it, and first thing, like, I did a test where I put the same lens on different cameras at the same place, and I did like a side-by-side comparison with 3 cameras and 1 lens, which was pretty hard because I had to change the lens and the mount and the camera pretty often. So I did this test, and after I saw that the Zcam has ProRes, it has dual native ISO, it has so much functions, and the image obviously looks so much better than the Pocket and the GH5. So I went with the Zcam, and I gotta say, I was really impressed about this camera. At my next project, I chose to shoot with a Zcam, even though I didn't have a cage or anything like that. I kind of managed to make a reasonable, good handheld setup, which helped because the Zcam is a very small camera, and without a cage, it's really hard to operate. And having this lens, it was like really easy because I was holding the lens like this and the camera, and it was like pretty good. It wasn't bad. But I really had amazing results. One thing that really amazed me about the Zcam was the low light capabilities. So before going to that shoot, I did some tests back home with normal lenses, not anamorphic, and I was able to go at ISO 8000 and still get a clean result. And then I got even higher. I don't even remember the ISO because it was super high, and still got low noise images, which was really crazy because Zcam, I think, was one of the cameras that I had low expectations about and really impressed me in this shooting that I've done. But enough said about the Zcam, now we're gonna go back to this lens. Even though this lens seems like it's a perfect lens and I totally recommend it, there are a few downsides that come with this lens. So whenever you want to buy anamorphic lenses, you have to look at its minimal focus distance because it's very important. You're not going to be able to come close with this lens to your subject because its minimal focus distance is 1 meter. So what you can do, you can buy a set of diopters, and what those diopters do, they lower down your minimal focus distance so you can get closer to the subject. Basically, you can have a macro lens from any lens out there. It doesn't have to be anamorphic, just by using diopters. The good thing with those diopters is that they are really cheap and you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on super high quality diopters. Is this lens worth buying or not? I think it's a great lens. I think the build quality and all that, it's amazing. I really think it takes your 4x3 sensor camera to the next level. And yeah, I cannot wait to shoot more with this lens. I like everything about it. I like the flaring, I like the quality of it, I like the distortion. I think it's a little bit too correct. Like, I wish it had even more character, but you can make your images have more character inside of the post-production software that you are using. So you can add more flares, you can add edge distortions and things like that. But overall, I think it's an amazing lens. And from what I heard, Vazen just released a much wider version of this. So you can like buy 2 lenses from them right now. What really excites me the most is that they are really working on a full frame anamorphic lens, which obviously I'm gonna get because anamorphic kind of excites me. And when you think about the results that you get from this lens on a 4x3 sensor, imagine what results you're gonna get from a full frame anamorphic lens on a full frame camera. So I think this will blow your mind. And if you want to see how full frame anamorphic looks, you can watch the new movie shot with Matt Damon and Christian Bale, Le Mans 66, which was shot on Arri Alexa LF and full frame anamorphic lenses. So watch that and see exactly what I mean about hardcore cinematic images. So that was it for now. I hope you like my review about the Vazen. It's a an incredible lens. I really like it and I'm really happy about it. So if you guys like this review and want me to do more reviews like this, just hit me up in the comments. Let me know what kind of camera lenses or things like that you want me to talk about, and I'll try to make it possible. Until next time, go out there, shoot some cool stuff, and have fun. Peace!